I was just about to put a new book together into my personal development AI. If you're new here on the channel, I've got a personal development AI that I've built with Obsidian, and it's got over 100 different book summaries, 600 different ideas that I've pulled out of books. We've got about 20 plus content maps that we've got laid out here. And I want to do kind of an over the shoulder how I would go about taking notes and transferring them over into Obsidian. So we're not actually going to start inside of Obsidian. Where we are going to start is inside of the Kindle Cloud Reader. So if you are using Kindle to read your books, which I definitely recommend some kind of an e-reader or something like that to actually read your books, it's just a faster read and you can essentially highlight and take your notes as you go rather than having to maybe write them out. So what I would do first is over here on my web browser version of Kindle is I would open up the book, and as I've been going through, I've been taking highlights. So I've been taking highlights throughout the book in multiple different places. And that's essentially what I use to start to create the framework for the actual book summaries that I do inside of Obsidian. So that's where we're going to start. Now, the one issue with the Kindle Cloud Reader that I can understand why is they don't actually let you copy and paste out of the Kindle Cloud Reader. Now, there sometimes is different tools that you can use, but from my experience, the best way to actually pull the highlights out would be from the highlights section. So if you could read .amazon.com and you go to the highlights section of your Kindle Cloud Reader, you can see for each book that I've read, I actually have specific highlights that are pulled out. So that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to use both screens. I can see that the very first piece here that I pulled out was an important piece, and I think it's something that we're going to use actually inside of the summary are these two quotes right here to give us a kind of a general overview of what we can expect for the whole entire book. So let's hop over into Obsidian now. Inside of Obsidian, I am first going to create a new folder. So what I'm going to do for that new folder is actually put in Ryan Holiday. Now, if it wasn't Ryan Holiday, if it was any other author that I had only ever done this note on, I would actually go through and create that new folder. Luckily for us, you can see I've got a lot of different authors, one which happens to be Ryan Holiday. So I've got a folder here, which I would have created from scratch. And then I've also got a new page, which you can click right here to create a new page. You hit this new page, it's called Ryan Holiday, and in here you can see all the different books that I've done for him. The Daily Stoic, The Obstacle is the Way, Ego is the Enemy, Stillness is the Key, and we're gonna add in Lives of the Stoics. That's the next one that we're gonna be doing. So I hit a double bracket here, I type in Lives of the Stoics, and then you can see what this is gonna do is create a dead link. This is not going anywhere yet. You can see that it says Lives of the Stoics is not created, click to create. So if I click on this, this is gonna create us a whole new page, and you can see it pulls up down at the bottom here. Now I've named this incorrectly, so I should go Ryan Holiday to let myself know the author as well. So we'll rename that. It updated inside of this as well, because it's all linked together. So we'll go over here. We've created this new Lives of the Stoics, and then I'll pull this underneath the Ryan Holiday folder so that I can easily go and find the list of all the different books that I've had from him. The next piece that I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Command T or Control T, and then I'm going to find the book summary template. So you can see that I've got a description box here. I've got the author, the topics, in different related books. I've got the best ideas all laid out, and then the tools that I might pull out or that might be applicable in here. So the very first thing I'm going to do is actually double bracket, and then I'm going to put Ryan Holiday because that's our author, of course. This one is about Stoicism, and I've got a content map on that. So I'll go ahead and double bracket Stoicism. It's also about a lot of different things, to be totally honest with you. So let's go and find a couple of our content maps here. You can see we've got a lot of different topics. I would say one of the most important ones inside of this book is about happiness. It's also a lot about, I would say it's a lot about willpower as well. So that's something that I'll talk about here as well. And there might be more content maps that come up as I continue through. The tags here, I tag it the same exact thing that I do for the topic maps. So we'll do hashtag happiness. And what this is going to allow me to do is better search. So this will be just for better search. So we'll do this, put the willpower in there. And the related books would be all of Ryan Holiday's books, but I won't necessarily show you that piece. I'll show you the way that we would go in and put our best idea in there. So this is the first quote that I wanted to put in there. It says, "The only reason to study philosophy is to become a better person." So the way that I usually like to think about this is I try and name the idea something that I would remember. So again, I double bracketed the only reason to study philosophy, and I spelt that wrong, so we'll do the only reason to study philosophy right here. And then if we click preview, you can see once again, this is a dead link. So this isn't an actual page quite yet. So this is our idea. This is the first idea that we've got. I'll click on the only reason to study philosophy, which is then creating a page down here at the very bottom. This one I'll pull into the ideas. We'll drop that directly into the ideas. And then we'll Command T or Control T once again. And I've got a whole template just for ideas. The quote is going to go right here. And I can copy and paste that from my Kindle highlights over into my Obsidian. So what I might do next is potentially just split it up a little bit so that it's a little bit easier to read. And then I'll also add some quote brackets here so that people know that this is piece of the quote. And I also like to link back to the original book as well so that I can more easily navigate. Once I get to this spot, I can see I've got a backlink over here that'll actually send me to the book as well. So this is our first quote coming from the book. And what I might actually do is add something like this in here too. This is also another good quote. Now this is getting a little bit long, so I might break it up a little bit. But this is kind of the big overview of Stoicism, I would say. And these are maybe the 4 most important pieces. So if I Control B or add asterisk, asterisk, that actually is gonna bold inside of Obsidian as well. So there we go. We've got our quote coming out first. I'll maybe break this up a little bit through this. So this is maybe what it looks like. Ooh, we've got some bad formatting there. Those are 2 different quotes. So we've got the 2 different quotes here. And then you can see down here is my reflection. Now, what I'm thinking about when I'm going for the reflection is connecting it to other points that I've made in previous books, summing it up so that it's maybe easier for someone to come along and know why I chose this quote out. And then I also will sometimes make things a little bit more action oriented as well. So I won't actually write the reflection while we're on the video here. It can sometimes take me 5-10 minutes to write a full reflection and get a good idea of what I want from this quote. A big piece of this is knowing how to link back to previous ideas. So for example, we've got a double back quote here, and then we've got a lot of different things about Stoicism in this one. And one of those things that I would like to backlink is actually to the content map of Stoicism. So you can see I've got all of our different authors in here. I've got all of our different books in here so that if I was to come along, or if someone was to come along and want to learn a little bit more about Stoicism in general, they could click onto this content map and all of the ideas are right in there. With that, we'll come back to our book from Ryan Holiday really quickly, and I'll tell you a little bit about the tools that we might use in here as well. So I won't continue on with the best ideas, but as you can see, I've got a lot of different highlights all coming from the book. And what I would generally do is kind of click along into the book. Sometimes I would even go by chapter. I just happen to know that there's another highlight coming up here about Zeno pretty quickly. So this is one of the quotes that I would pull out as well. And I found this as I was reading. It's Zeno, kind of the beginning of Stoicism. So I really wanted to get this quote across. It says, "To Zeno, the purpose of philosophy is virtue, and it was to find a smooth flow of life." So this is like the very beginning. So I might call Zeno, I might say Zeno or something like that, the beginning, or something like that, just to give me something to remember. I would come back in here again, create that new page, hit the template idea, pull this quote out. But again, you can't get it from the actual Kindle reader. You can only get it from the highlights. And then we're here. And I would do the same thing. I would do reflection. I would try to interlink inside of the reflection, making sure we're adding the book here so that I can easily navigate back to the book. Now, tools are a little bit different. Inside of the tools, I generally like to do maybe one or two tools from the book, and then one that happens to be a connection from another book. So one of the things that came up quite a lot inside of this book that I just happen to know, I haven't found the quotes yet, but I would do something like quiet time. And then what that does is it gives us a little white highlight inside of my book where I can do, okay, this is a tool. What does quiet time look like? How can I use that in a Stoic way? I would also add the description in here, which is just a super high level overview of what you can expect to learn from the book. And that's everything. That's how I organize my books. That's how I go about summarizing the books. The reading, it actually is covered in some of the other videos that I've got on the channel that I can link down below for all of you. But in general, once you've done the reading, that's the most difficult piece. Go ahead and do the reading, and then you pull out maybe 6 to 8 of the best quotes from the book. So what you'll notice is that I have 27 different highlights. I'm going to cut this down to maybe 10 to 12 highlights and 6 to 8 points. So as you're reading, you often have a tendency to over highlight, and I am still falling into that trap. So I'm going to have to be very kind of finding what I can pull out and what I should leave in for this book as well as I'm continuing to take these notes. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next one.